So this is the main road. I'm standing right outside the complex where the medical mission is being conducted, and we can see the bus on the left side. So that's the bus that we use for transportation from Kisumu to Paponditi every day. And then to the right, if I turn towards the right, then you will see a number of motorcycles parked there with their riders kind of waiting. A lot of the patients who are commuting from far distances use this as a form of a taxi, two-wheeler taxi. So they rent these vehicles and they will ride them. And then when they're done, they will ride them back and they charge them a nominal amount of money to take them to whichever part of the county they come from. So that's one of the main modes of transportation. The other mode of transportation is that they have these kind of minivan vehicles that are plying between different towns, different parts of the country, and that's also something that they use for transport. Those who are close by will be able to just walk and come here. So now we're going to go into the complex itself. Just want to give an overview of how the overall system is set up. So I'm just going to walk in now. So when we walk in, they have washing stations here, so you can see them here. And then there's also someone who has sanitizer, and he's sitting right here, and he's offered it to everybody who's coming in. So they wash their hands or sanitize, and then they come in. And this is the main pathway. You can see the building that is right up ahead of us. That's where the medical mission is conducted. So on the with the pathway itself, you have two sets of buildings, one on the left and one on the right. So I'll briefly show the one on the right. The one on the right is just a set of metal structures that we are not using. I'm not sure if they used it at other points in time for whatever purposes this building is used for, but we are not using this. Thank you. And then on the left side, we have the annex building where we have a number of services that are being conducted. So for our camp, we have it set up to do vision, eye treatment, dentists, and also physical therapy. The food delivery that we have at the end of the visit. So when somebody is seen and they have received their medicines, the food that they get, that is also delivered from the annex building. That's at the in the last room actually. So I'm getting closer to the building, and you can see a lot of people waiting in tents right outside the building. So that's adjacent to the building. We have a set of tent structures where we have people waiting. And then if I turn a little bit towards the right of the road, then you can see a lot more people waiting. So this is where the main tents are set up. So you can see that there's a lot of people waiting here. Some of them are in line. They came in now and they're waiting to be seated in this area or one of the waiting areas. So this is where a lot of the people are waiting. This is also where the registration area is. So they will be seated and then they will be helped by a set of volunteers who are involved with registration, and all of their vital information, name, and other details will be recorded before they're processed. So they're processed in the order that they come in. So a lot of people here today. So you can see that some of them are being transported by these motorbikes that I mentioned. So I'm very close now to the building. So the building is on the left. So I'm just going to show that here. So that's the building on the left. And as we get closer, we have another waiting area. So as people move up in their waiting order, some of them are seated here, and it's quicker for them to be moved. The volunteers will guide them. It's quicker for them to be moved into the main building where the actual service is provided. So I just want to walk a little closer and show you this waiting area. So there's a lot of people here as well today. So see a lot of them dressed with jackets and so forth. It's a little bit of a cooler day today. So that's why it's a cool breeze, and it's probably about 70 degrees. So a lot of them are wearing warm clothing. So that's where they're seated, and then once they're ready, they will come into the hall where the actual service will be offered. I'm now going to walk into the main hall and just show an overview of the services and how they are provided. This is through the main entrance. This is how patients come in. So once they come in, you can see on the left that they're checked for vital signs, so blood pressure and other things are kind of checked here on this side. And there's also some other services that are performed on the other side. So we have weighing scale here. So some of the folks are directed here and they will be weighed. And there's also lab testing being performed for those with certain kinds of needs. Mainly, I think it's blood sugar that's being tested here. So you can see that happening along this wall. So patients are seated and their blood pressure, blood sugar is tested here. So the system is always similar. There's a service being provided, and right in front of where the service is being provided, people who are waiting to receive that service are seated. So here it's fairly early in the morning, so they haven't made it this far. So, but the chairs are here, and this is where the patients who will need to be blood sugar tested will be seated. So if I move on to the middle of the hall, this is where a lot of the patients are seated. Now, they have already had their vitals taken and all of that, and then whatever screening was required has also been done. So now they're ready to see the doctor. So I will walk past them to the other side. The left side of the building, left side of the hall, is really where the doctors are seated. So let's walk a little closer to the doctors so we can see what's going on. So, so as you can see here, the doctors are all seated here, and they are in a line by the wall, and you can see them working with patients, and they're called in the order as they finish one patient. Then the volunteers will call another patient, so you can see all of the consultations that are happening by this wall on the left side with the doctors. So once the consultation is done, then the doctors will write a prescription in those cases, and then direct them. Volunteers will direct them to be seated in the pharmacy area. So I'm going to walk past this group of folks that are waiting and go to the pharmacy area. So once they've been seen, the chairs that are facing towards the stage of the building, towards the front of the building, they are people who have already been seen by the doctors, and they're waiting to receive the medicines. So I'll go closer and show the pharmacy area. So this is really where the medicines are provided. That's the pharmacy area. We have a set of tables, and pharmacists are sitting at the tables. So you can see that they're each talking with a patient who has a prescription that needs to be filled, and they're filling those prescriptions right there. All of the common drugs are right on the table, so it's easy for them to fill these prescriptions. They don't have to ask for those drugs. They just have them right there, and they can fulfill these prescriptions. So this is an entire line of that happening, and the flow is very smooth. As one person is done, the volunteers will call another person so they can come and benefit from the service. So as the patients finish, they will leave through this exit right here. There's a volunteer seated there, and they will guide them to the exit. And then they will go and collect their food, and will be able to exit the complex. So here we now come to the stage where some of the volunteers are seated. This is the hub for where medicines are stored. So you can see boxes and boxes of medicines, and they're labeled and in order. So this is the stockpile, and then we use the stockpile to replenish supplies. So you can see here volunteers, some from ICC, some others also local volunteers. So all of them working together, and a lot of work being done to package these medicines to make them ready for distribution. So a lot of the pills are being put into envelopes and labeled and numbered, and they're ready to be distributed to the patient. So this is the hub behind the pharmacy where all of this packaging is going on. So at no point can the pharmacy tables run out of medicines, because that will slow the whole thing down, and it's the responsibility of this team of volunteers to keep up with that. So that's really what they're doing here. And towards the end, we have a computer here where the inventory is managed. So you can see a volunteer here staffing the computer, and they maintain inventory of all the medicines. So we know when medicines run low, and we can order and immediately have those supplies replenished. They're replenished on a daily basis, so we never run out of medicines. So, and towards this end, we have some musical instruments here, and also speakers. So at various times during the day, there will be gospel singing or music that's played here, and that's something that the crowd will be able to hear when they're waiting. So this is now a view of the hall from the stage. So you can see the entire structure here. So in the center, you see people seated, and then you see the pharmacy tables. And then if I look at the right side, on the right, you can see the doctors seated. So we see all the doctors that are seated here. And towards the further end, near the entrance, that's where people are received and their vitals are recorded, and then they're seated to be seen by the doctors. So hopefully that gives a good idea of how services are provided within the hall itself. So this time I'm going to do another walkthrough through the hall, but with special focus on the flow volunteers who keep everything kind of moving. So if you look for the people in the green shirts. So they're the volunteers. We have some folks, of course, from ICC, but we have a lot of local volunteers who are called floor volunteers. So you can see two people on the left here. And they are guiding and helping everyone to be seated. This is the pharmacy section, and they are responsible for that. So you will see another two volunteers, and we're going to get a little closer so you can see them. So you can see another two volunteers right there by the tables, by the pharmacy tables. So they are also assisting. They are helping with getting the medicines as they're fulfilled, and then replenishing the stock on the pharmacist table. So they are volunteers. And they spend the entire day guiding and directing and helping move medicines and all of that. So if you move again towards the rest of the hall, so this is the doctor's area, and there again you see folks in green shirts. So we have someone here who's guiding, and then you can see another lady there, and at that far corner you can see another lady in the vitals area, she's guiding. So these are all the flow volunteers, and they are a very important part of the work that's going on. They are here from morning until evening, and they're spending most of their time on the floor or outside guiding and helping visitors. So this is another thing that I wanted to kind of call out and show you. So again, here's a volunteer guiding a person as they're coming in asking for assistance. And then here you see Pastor Sam. He's also helping to guide visitors. So he's also a volunteer. And if we notice here, someone is carrying water. So there's a lot of washing stations here. They need to be constantly refilling them. So that's also done by the volunteers. So here we see a volunteer who's standing outside the tent and calling for names as they're due. in order, so they're called and then they're sent inside the building. So everything, a lot of the work, a lot of the facilitation work is done by the volunteers. So I just wanted to call attention to them in this video. So this is one of the main waiting areas. So we have a series of tents outside the building where the waiting is, people are seated for waiting. So I'm just going to go into one of these tents so here, so you can see a view of the number of people that are seated here. So this is just one of the tents. So you can see the waiting area. So a lot of people here. So, so this provides good shade, and also any time that there's rain, they're protected from the elements. So as they are ready to be processed, they will walk in a line, and then you can see that line forming here. So they wait in line, and then this is the registration area. So you see the registration area right here. So they're filling out forms and then completing the registration and then processing them, getting them ready to go into the main building where they will be seen by doctors. Now, right outside the building, on the right side, that's where the property ends. So if I turn towards the right, then I can show the fence here. So you can see the fence. And as I walk closer to the fence, you can see that there's a lot of vegetation there. There's a few houses that you can see not too far away. And it's just a lot of bush here. So you see a lot of cattle grazing in the afternoon and also in the evenings. There's also some maize, not corn, maize being planted on that side. And then in the little bit of further down the horizon, you can see the hills. So this is in the foothills area. So you have a lot of hills surrounding this area, and this county is partly foothills and partly in the hills. So if you go up the hills, then it's a little cooler than it is here. This itself is not very warm, but during the day it can be pretty warm. But you see all those hills there at the distance, the horizon. Then you have a lot of places that are inhabited on those hills as well. And this is the side where people are waiting. I'm going to go closer to the waiting area so you can get a good idea of how many people are waiting today. This is the waiting area. That's right by the entrance. It's very close to the hall, so it's easy to move people in and out. So today, because the crowds are very high, we have all the chairs are taken up, and we also have quite a few people standing and waiting. So that's this waiting area that's closest to the hall. So the volunteers, to keep things moving, everything is kind of really one step ahead. So as the one batch of people go in, the volunteers are already calling out for the next batch to be ready. So they're lining them up. So that's what this volunteer right here is doing. So he has a list of people that he has to call next, and he will call them and get the line set up so they're ready to head in. So in the hall, I ran into a bunch of kids who were very interested in talking to me. They're very interested in the camera and they want to say hi and talk to me. So can you guys say hi? Hi, wave. What are your names? What is your name? Okay. Say hello again. Hi. Say hi. Hi. So pastor walks around all the time and makes sure that everything is going well. So again, kind of really just trying to go with him. So he was just in the waiting area now, just taking care of people there. So this is talking with the volunteers to make sure everything is moving on. And he's going into the registration area now. So he's constantly moving between all of these different sections to ensure that they are functioning smoothly. It's a massive operation to be able to process about 2,000 people in a single day, and a lot of these things are just working seamlessly in order to deliver this level of service to people. And Pastor is just moving between these different sections to ensure that nothing is stuck or there's nothing kind of holding things up. Also interacting with people, talking to them, encouraging them, directing them.
Mio chico prario ka chien. Mio chico prario ka rio. Mio chico prario ka dek. Mio chico prario ka ngwen. Mio chico prario ka bich. Mio chico prario ka uchie. Mio chico prario ka berio. Mio chico prario ka bor. Mio chico dia lain. Mio chico prario ka chico. Ha? Mio chico pradek.
So here Pastor's working in the food distribution area to make sure everything's going well. So there's a constant process throughout the day to make sure nothing is not functioning as intended.
57. 58.
Yes, this one. This time we get in direct.
So sometimes if there's someone who's not able to walk, so we intervene, pastors intervene in this case and helping them to get service without having to wait a lot. Following pastor, I think, so he's heading to the gate now. So the entry of people also has to be regulated and they have to be issued the right tokens and all of that. So that's part of the orderly flow of patients to ensure that everybody's fairly treated and they're waiting for the appropriate time and not someone's not getting priority over the other. Today the numbers are really high, so he may have to stop at some point before the close. He may not be able to take the people, but there are still people coming from different parts of the county.
Wala non jo Paponditi tutto kendo hodiche machielo ni chanjo nitie. Kichopo hospital Paponditi kacha ibro be chanjo. Kendo kichopo kumwanti the free medical card. Ane mabro penji gidodo.
We're now at the annex building where the vision testing is carried out. So you can see patients that are waiting in a line to do the vision test. So the initial vision screening, so they're closing their eyes, one eye, and then observing the chart and then reading off of it. So we'll get closer and show the charts. They're just set up outside the annex building. And then once they're done with that, then they can see the doctor. The doctor is also set in the annex building, so you can see the charts there. And a volunteer kind of walking them through that. So once they're done, then they're ready to go in and see the eye doctor. Walk into the eye doctor's area and just to get an idea of how the service is being provided. So the eye doctor is right here, and the testing and consulting with the patients. And then they have all the equipment that they need to produce the prescription. And then the glasses are also provided right there. So once the work is done by the doctor, then the glasses are readily available, and all the common prescriptions are filled right here. So by the time they leave, they have their glasses with them, and they're ready to leave. So that's this is the site where the vision testing is carried out in the eye doctor's receiving. Of the same room in the annex building is where the dental work is happening. So you can see there's a chair, and this is where the dental work is being. How are you, sir? So you can see the service being provided right there. And they have a lot of the equipment that they need right here. And you can see all of these supplies that are available, and a lot of folks have dental needs, so this is a very popular area. A lot of people are waiting for this service to be provided. A lot of them with tooth ailments, teeth that need to be extracted. So all of that is taken care of here, and they're given medicines for those needs also. So I'm now headed out again. So just behind the stage area, we have a set of rooms, the private rooms, and this is the area where the cervical scanning system has been set up. And so we have patients here waiting. So this area is right behind the stage. Inside the room where the food is stored, so you can see all the loaves of bread. Earlier we had talked about the fact that everybody who's done with treatment on the way out is given a loaf of bread and also some heat-treated milk and a bottle of water. So if there's 4 persons in a group, each of them receives this as a gift. So you can see the storage room here. So with all this bread, it's on one side, and then the water and the milk, all of it is right here. So the milk is here in cartons, and they take it out one packet at a time and hand it out. And then the water, really good quality water bottles are given out. So that's all stored right here. And we have a volunteer here. So I'm just going to show a view of this happening. So we have a volunteer here, and he's handing out one of those as a package. Each person gets a loaf of bread and a bottle of water, and also a bag of milk. It's heat treated. So that's what we are observing here. So many of them who receive this are extremely happy. They've waited here sometimes for a few hours to get the treatment, and may have not had a chance to eat in the morning. So very happy to receive this. And it's not uncommon to see them, eat the bread right away, and to have a really bright smile on their face when they receive this gift. This is the tent area where the volunteers come for refreshment. So they work very hard, and we have refreshments that are provided. So this is not lunchtime yet, but there's a snack that's provided, and there's also some tea that's provided. So we have volunteers, doctors, other volunteers, all coming in and getting a bit of refreshment. So we can see folks seated around tables, talking and having a little bit of a break here. So I just want to do a walkthrough, show this. So I'll turn around and also show the snack that's being served today. Hi. So this is the tea station, and This is this is the snack that's been served today. So here's Faith. Is this snack good? It's good. Okay. So that's also the area where the volunteers have their lunch. So at lunchtime. Also an important part of how hygiene is maintained during the process where treatment is provided. The volunteers are in charge of keeping this replenished with water, so this involves moving a lot of water back and forth. But the water stations are always full of water. They have soap, and the volunteers and a lot of the participants coming in are encouraged to wash hands, to maintain a very sanitary environment, even when processing this number of people.
I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours. Mapasua bahari, au paradiswi na kitu kingine, au paradiswi na kitu kingine. Wewe ni Mungu, watuliza mawimbi, au paradiswi.